The Salon Suites is the newest concept in the hair and the beauty industry. It just gives beauty professionals like hairstylists, barbers, and lash techs the opportunity to be their own boss. I literally remember nights where I did not sleep. I cried so much. We're opening, the fifth one is being built right now. We got the framework up. Yep, so the fifth one all in the Georgia area.
That is amazing.
Nurturing your clients, having automations, being professional, showing up on time, all of those things that people overlook. And that way you can maximize your potential. Stay consistent. You know, that sounds so cliche, everyone says it, but it's truly the key to.
Welcome to another episode of Access Granted, where I give you exclusive access to entrepreneurs that are killing it in their space. Today, I have the first Black female franchise salon suite owner with me, and she's going to just assist us with understanding the salon suite space, a little bit of her background, and just talk to us about her journey and all the amazing things that she's doing on social media. So, Sway, Patrice, we thank you for just being a part of this journey with us.
My pleasure.
Can you tell us a little bit about your business, about your brand, and about you?
Yep. Like you said, I'm the first Black-owned salon suite franchisor, so meaning that anyone can open an Encore Salon Suites, which is my brand name, anywhere in the States, similar to like a McDonald's where anyone can open and they have to use the same colors, the same branding and stuff like that. And it's a great way to grow your business without using your own money. But the Salon Suites is the newest concept in the hair and the beauty industry. Basically, it just gives beauty professionals like hairstylists, barbers, and lash techs the opportunity to be their own boss because they pretty much are running their own business. So compared to a traditional salon or barbershop, as the owner, it's less hands-off. You know, I don't have to manage their time, the products they're using, their clientele. I don't have to help them with marketing. Literally like a landlord in the salon suites or in the hair and beauty space. So I'm just providing the space for them, leasing it out to them. They come decorate it and run their business. So I love it because, like I said, it's no micromanaging and it's pretty lucrative when it's done correctly.
I love that. So how did you get involved? Because I know you used to be in the beauty space, right? So how did you transition from just being behind the chair to now owning companies and organizations where you're giving other entrepreneurs the chance to kind of run and establish their brand as well?
Yep. So I received my barber stylist license in 2013. And I was just always really hungry. So I worked in the corporate world initially. It was cool. The money was okay, but I didn't feel like I had like the freedom that I wanted. Like I didn't like having to dress up a certain way and stuff like that. So I always loved the smell of when I went into a barbershop. Plus my mother and my sister, they grew up in the industry as well. They both did hair. So I was always around it. And I was like, man, this is something I want to do. So originally I'm from Lansing, Michigan, packed my whole family of 6 up and moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2008. So we've been here, 16, 17 years to pursue entrepreneurship and music. So I have an identical twin sister and we were music artists at the time, but I still couldn't escape that like desire to want to be in the hair and beauty industry. So I said, well, I'm going to open a barbershop. And then I said, well, you know what? Let me just go get my license and actually become a barber. So that's what I did, got my license. I was very hungry in school, just determined to just get the practice in so I could be great once I got out in the real world. And I did really good. My first year, I did 6 figures pretty much every year as a master barber stylist, starting right out the bat. But again, I was a hustler. I was passing out business cards. Anytime I didn't have somebody in my chair, I was out trying to go and get more clients. But then I was introduced to the salon suite industry because I walked into this building and they had like much larger suites. So you could lease like a space big enough to run like your own salon. So I had a 6-chair salon suite.
Wow.
That's how big they were. And so I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. You know, he's not really like hands-on. The owner's hardly ever here. And then I saw another business where they did it much smaller, where it's just a single suite. So 1 beauty pro per suite. But I literally walked down, I did the math on the doors. I said, well, I know I'm paying him this much and they paying him this much. I said, oh no, he's making some money over here. Exactly. So then I partnered with someone. We opened Synergy Suites in Atlanta for about a year. And then we separated and I started my own brand, Encore Salon Suites. And it's been amazing. You know, it was a rough start initially because I did everything on my own. But that's why I'm so passionate about helping others get into the industry a little bit easier with my course and stuff like that.
So what advice would you give somebody who maybe I am currently in the beauty space and I rent a space, but I want to kind of branch out. I want to build, you know, I want to make that leap and actually have other entrepreneurs around or associated with me. What advice would you give that person that wants to make that?
I would say first and foremost, making sure that their existing business behind the chair is ran like a real business. A lot of times they run it like a side hustle, and that's the biggest problem. But treating it like a business, meaning nurturing your clients, having automations, being professional, showing up on time, all of those things that people overlook. And that way you can maximize your potential in that space. But it's very important to have a second source of income as well. So whether that's creating a digital product, if you've been a braider for 5, 6, 7 years, then you have some knowledge on how to teach someone else how to braid. So whether it's a digital product, a physical product like a spray or a gel or something like that, I always recommend that. But even if it's outside of the industry, because when you depend on just your hands, I tell people all the time, if you could get rich off of hard work, the construction man would be wealthy, right? Wow. You can't. So you have to have multiple sources of income. And that's the biggest thing I try to teach the beauty professionals. One source of income is too close to none, so definitely expanding, branching out, networking, getting outside, getting in the room around the people that can actually help you get to that next level.
Yeah, I try to tell my community the same thing. There are so many entrepreneurs that have several different companies that they're running. But if we can take that one business and buckle down on that one company and create 7 streams of income within that business, a product, a service, a course, a community, affiliate links, all of these things, these are 7 different avenues for us to make money, and we're focusing on one mission and then go out and do the other things that we need to do. But if you can just buckle down on that one, it helps you take your business and your brand to the next level. You said something that stood out to me. You mentioned when you didn't have anybody in your chair, you still were out grinding. There are a lot of people who are stuck and stagnant because they're afraid to network. They're afraid of the old school marketing where they hit the ground running with their tennis shoes. That still works, right?
Exactly.
So, what does that look like? Do you show up daily? If my books are empty, do I sit at home and I relax and I take it as a day off? Do I use this as time to go out and market and strategize? What does that look like in the beauty space? And what advice can you give somebody with that?
Great question. So although I'm a huge advocate for salon suites, I would say starting out for beginners, they should go to a traditional salon or traditional barbershop, because you're going to get more clientele. You're going to be around more beauty professionals that you can learn from, that you can network with. Salon suites are more private. So I would recommend doing that. And yes, during the downtime, instead of complaining about it being a slow season, zone in on your marketing. That's most people's issue, is their marketing. Yes, I would go around when I didn't have a client in my chair and I was working in a barbershop. I would go to the surrounding businesses, pass out business cards. Anytime I was out, I was passing out business cards. It does take a certain kind of courage, because you will get some rejection. I think that's what people are scared of, but it's either that or your business doesn't grow. So you kind of just got to not take it personal, be hungry, be determined, and consistently promote your business, whether it's word of mouth, business cards, and again, social media marketing, which is where most people struggle, mainly because they just overthink it. Yeah. You know what you're doing, just record it and post it. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. And then social media, I think, makes it very challenging for us, right? Because people, they post the success. They don't post, with the salon suites, how you might have had an obstacle or might have had a couple of empty booths or empty spaces for a couple of months, and you might have had to take that hit. What are some challenges that you faced, and maybe share a story, or two, and how were you able to overcome those challenges when you started growing your business or your brand?
Man, I tell people all the time that I had built up so much anxiety from that first experience, because I literally was doing it all by myself. I was familiar with the concept, but it's a whole different ball game when you're actually creating this business. So at that time, one story I can share is I was going to the city of Atlanta to get the permitting to start our build out. You have to create your plan. You have to submit it to the city. They have to stamp it, give you your permit to start your build out. I had been going back and forth for maybe 2 or 3 months, me in the middle. So I'm going between my architect and the city of Atlanta, and they're literally just sending me back and forth. I would go fix whatever the last issue was. He would find a new issue and say, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. It was so overwhelming. I literally remember nights where I did not sleep. I cried so much. The architect guy that initially had ran off with my money. That was the most stressful part. My partner, right after we signed the lease, decided he didn't want to be a part of it anymore. So I had to come up with that money at the last minute. But back to the city, going back and forth, one day I literally stood on a chair there because I felt like, I don't know what the guy's issue was, but I definitely felt like he was giving me a hard time on purpose. I'll say that. But I had to stand on a chair and literally get emotional in the city of Atlanta and say, can you please stamp my permits? Like, I was familiar with everybody there because I had been there so much. And I was like, I'm literally doing everything this guy says. And for months, he keeps sending me back. Why can't he tell me everything that needs to be done right now? And I'll never forget this black guy came from around the back. He didn't even look at my plans. He just stamped it and said, here you go, sister, go ahead and start your build out, because they felt my pain.
Yeah.
So because of that, I have direct connects with the city of Atlanta now, because they said, going forward, just call us directly. This guy's an a-hole sometimes. But that really was very extremely stressful because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to consult with. So just trying to figure it out by myself. And again, that's why I'm so passionate. And that's why I was so excited to create the first online course to help other people, because it shouldn't have to be so difficult. Like, it's not easy, but you shouldn't have to stress the way I was stressing when you're starting a new business, if you don't have to. So that's just one story that I always share. And come to find out that technically I shouldn't have been going back and forth. The contractor is supposed to be doing that. So I was like, wow, you had me doing your work. So that's stuff that I teach, but yeah.
But that's the importance of demanding, right?
Yeah.
What you need and not giving up on your vision. Because
Exactly.
a lot of people would have took that as an obstacle and not been able to kind of overcome that. A lot of people would have gave up on that
Exactly.
vision. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Because now from that day and from that journey, how many have you opened or established?
We're opening, the 5th one is being built right now. We got the framework up. Yep. So the 5th one, all in the Georgia area.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, from Michigan, packing up your family of 6, coming to Atlanta. And I have so many people that tell me, you need to move to Atlanta. You need to move to Atlanta. I'm like, I will never, right? But
Oh, so you don't live here?
no, I live in Nashville.
Really?
I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Yep, live in Nashville. Atlanta's very busy. So before I lived in Nashville, I lived in Huntsville, Alabama for 16 years. So my backyard was literally like cotton fields and corn. I might walk outside, it's a snake on the ground. Like, it's country girl, literally. So
Gotcha.
Nashville is a little too busy for me, but all of my family's there. So it just makes sense for me to be there right now. But Atlanta has a lot going on, but
It does.
a lot of opportunity in Atlanta.
It is.
I make some amazing connections. Seeing you in the mall, right?
Exactly.
Walking in the mall, and I'm like, let me stop her, right? And let me just let her know that I'm interested in speaking at her conference. And you have an amazing conference that's coming up.
Yep.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, we partnered with Bree Nicole. She did it her first year last year, and I spoke at her conference, but now we partner for 2025. It's going to be the 3rd weekend of January. I believe that's the 18th. It's the Beautypreneur Conference. And basically, it's a conference to just inspire, motivate, and help beauty professionals, hairstylists, lash techs, makeup artists, learn the things that me and Bree understand, the back end, the automation, the nurturing, the creating multiple sources of income, being professional, all of that stuff. So we have a lot of different speakers, funding, automations, marketing, all of that stuff. So we have some experts coming in just to help give to the community and help them scale their business.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, super excited about that conference.
I told Bree, I spoke to Bree earlier, and I told her, I said, I remember seeing her conference online last year. And I have so many people from Nashville that are in the beauty space, and they came to the conference. And I was like, I'm going to go next year. Even though I'm not in that space, it just looks like there was so much value in the room. But I said, sometimes you can sell yourself short. My mission and my goal should have been, I'm going to speak at that conference next year, right? Instead of I'm going to go. So just having the opportunity to share that stage and platform with so many amazing entrepreneurs, and a grant panel, a whole grant panel, which I think is an underrated conversation. So being able to just share grants and the value of grants is going to be a game changer. So I thank you guys for doing this.
It's our pleasure, for sure.
Definitely needed in that space. And so what's some advice that you can give people who are afraid to make the investment, right? There are a lot of people who feel like they don't need the conference. They don't need the mentor. They don't need the community. I wish I had somebody to tell me, don't spend all your personal money to start your business.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
These are the opportunities that are available for you. So what advice could you give the person that's sitting back like, I'm not going to pay $97 for a community or $297 to attend a conference?
Then you're not going to grow. It's crazy. Literally on the way here, I did a video on Instagram. I said, let me give you guys a tip on how to truly scale, how to increase your income, how to generate another revenue stream. This is a big tip that's overlooked, but you have to invest in yourself. It's just no other way around it. You guys want so much for free, and it costs. I just spent $10,000 the last 10 days just trying to improve my back end and stuff like that. So, You truly have to invest in yourself. $97 is pennies, if you ask me, especially with the value that we're going to provide. So, you know, pull out that pocketbook and invest in yourself. Like, it's the only way. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
No way around it.
We'll go buy a designer bag
All day.
A piece of clothing.
Exactly.
But we want to invest into something that could take our business and our brand to the next level.
Exactly.
Coming to that conference and getting one nugget or one gem could turn the whole entire platform around.
Exactly.
And I try to preach that all the time. And I just wish our community and entrepreneurs would just understand the value of just rubbing the right shoulder and connecting with the right people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I love it.
Networking is really, really big.
So you transitioned. When did you transition from behind the chair? What year?
What year was that? I want to say that was like 18.
How was that?
It was only a few years. People laugh all the time when I say I'm retired. They're like, retired? You only worked behind the chair for like 4 years. But it was cool. I had really good clientele. So I started out initially by raising my prices and then minimizing my schedule. So I was only working like 3 or 4 days as opposed to 5. But again, I increased my pricing, which balanced itself out. So I started that, and eventually I was working in one of my salon suites as a beauty professional, and I was like, okay, that's not going to work because people keep coming to my door asking me stuff like don't have a client here. But I was like, I just want to go full time in business ownership. So I planned it. Everything that's happened, I planned it out, and I just made that transition, slowly scaled back, and just started growing the salon suite business and making other investments as well.
Was it tough for you?
It wasn't really, because I did it gradually.
You planned
it. Wasn't abrupt. Yeah, I planned it. So it was piece by piece. I had to slowly keep adjusting. So nope, it wasn't.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity available for us when we actually put our visions down on paper.
Exactly.
Plan it out.
Exactly.
Instead of making like rational decisions like, I don't want to be in the beauty space anymore. This is what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
But if you have that game plan, okay, this is my 5-year plan or my 10-year plan or 5-month plan or 1-year plan, whatever that looks like. And these are the action steps I'm going to take to reach that goal, get to that plan. It just makes it pivoting just a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Not as challenging, right?
Absolutely. I teach my students all the time to have 6-month and 1-year goals, but I even break it down, like you said, per month, per week, and per day. Even every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, what is today's goals? You know what I mean? So it's super important to really have goals in place and create that exit plan. For anything you enter, you should always create an exit plan as soon as you get into it. You know what I mean? So
I think that's one of the mistakes that I made. So I worked for a financial institution for a very long time, probably like 15 years, right? And I knew probably like year 10, I knew my time was up, right? Probably before that. And I knew that any day that they were going to let me go. But it took about 5 years after, right? But at that time when I knew, I should have had a game plan. I should have, made sure that I had things aligned. I was actually terminated for teaching entrepreneurs about funding and grants. So they gave me the option, are you going to teach this information or are you going to continue to work here? And it was just like, no, I'm going to continue to teach, right? But I wish I would have as soon as I got that niche, it's time to pivot, I wish I would have done that because I would have had so many other things aligned and transitioning to entrepreneurship wouldn't have been more of a challenge, right? It would have been an obstacle that I was ready to tackle head on because that transition is tough.
Absolutely.
Right? Coming from having a paycheck that comes in every 2 weeks to, you might have a $10,000 day and you might have a $0 day.
Yeah.
Right? So
Exactly.
So I think that's important. And I think a lot of people share on social media, the good, and they share the success, the $10,000 days, the $100,000 days, the $1 million days, right? But what does it look like for you when you don't have that day? Or what was your journey like to get to the point where you had these successful days and they were consistent, right?
So I think I just always try to have I don't want to say a plan B, but just a pivot in mind, you know what I mean, in the event that something does happen. So with salon suites, the most common issue or problem that the business owners complain about is the turnover rate. People come and go. So you can have 10 suites that are full, but at any moment, even if you have a license agreement in place, a beauty professional can just up and leave. So that shifts your income $1,000, $2,000, depending on how much they're paying. So that's again why I think it's so important to have another source of income, because it's so scary when you have one source of income. Just that one little shift, you're like, oh man. So I've always done that, even outside of being in the hair and beauty industry. I have other investments. So that always gives me a sense of security and comfort. Like, okay, it's okay if I have a little bump over here, I have these other incomes coming in here. So I think that's really the only reason. And that's what motivated me to create another source of income, because I remember my first location, every Friday I'm counting like, okay. And I was like, man, I don't like that pressure, depending on them to pay me. So yeah, again, just can't stress it enough, just having at least a second source of income.
Okay. If I wanted to start a salon suite, I'm not in the beauty space, but I love the idea of having multiple units, right? Multiple sources of income coming in. What would be 3 steps for me to get started? And what does the price point look?
Yep, great question. So the price point is pretty broad. It can range anywhere from like $30K to even $200K. So it depends. So one gem I tell people is to look for an old office or medical building, because they already have the suites in place. Typically, they already have the electrical, the plumbing. So you pretty much only have to like redo the flooring and do some painting and some decor. That can be like $25,000, $30,000 compared to another building the exact same size, but it requires a full build out. You have to put the wall, the electrical, the plumbing up. That could be $150K to $200K. But we do teach our students to use OPM, other people's money, whether it's through funding or tenant improvement. So that's where the landlord will actually give you money towards your build out. So one of my mentees, we just got her $175,000 towards her build out. So basically she didn't pay for anything.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we teach them, how to negotiate, how to hire the right commercial realtor to negotiate tenant improvement. So that's the range for the startup costs. One tip I would give somebody is to treat it again like a business, because I feel like, beauty professionals hate salon suite owners that don't have any experience in the industry. But the truth is, you don't really need it. As long as you have good communication skills, good management skills, and just that communication piece. So in the event that there's a water issue or an electrical issue, the beauty professionals just want to hear you communicate. They want to know that you care and you're not just taking their money. Even when you're full, just sending out communications. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a great week. Is there anything you like to see different? I always send that out and ask. Most times they don't say anything, but they like that I care about their feedback. So, and also when you lease a suite, make it an experience. So even if it's giving them a keychain or a t-shirt or a small red ribbon going across their door, cutting it, that makes them really excited, you know what I mean, to be with you. And then another thing I do is I'm dropping a lot of gems here, but I have like financial advisors come in. I have marketing people come in to teach the beauty professionals how to grow their business. So it's like, I'm not just creating a space and just taking your money, but I'm truly want to see you grow. And I'm giving you the resources so that you actually can grow. So those are some tips that really will make your beauty professionals appreciate you and want to stay there for a long time.
You said something that I love, right? OPM, right? I love using other people's money. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I made and a lot of entrepreneurs make.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
The first one you probably funded completely out of pocket. And that's what I did with my one of my companies. I used my entire personal capital, emptied out my savings account, maxed out my credit card.
Okay.
We were drowning. And that's how I got into grants.
Gotcha. Okay.
So grants saved my business.
Okay, nice.
But a lot of people don't know, even in the beauty space, that you qualify for grant funding.
Absolutely.
Atlanta just did a commercial improvement grant where they gave $50,000 to go out and rehab your commercial space. So you can start a salon suite, right?
Nice.
You can go find the building for your salon suite, get approved for that grant, and they'll give you $50,000 to go in and rehab.
Nice.
You just told me I only need about 30, sometimes 200.
Yep, just depends. Yep.
But something else you mentioned, which I think was a huge gem, right, is that we can have the landlords give us funding.
Absolutely.
For this. And I think a lot of people don't think about that because they don't know. Building, right? This isn't my building. This isn't my space. So I have to invest $200,000 in this space, and in 10 years or 5 years, I walk away.
Right.
And I've invested $200,000. So I think that's important. And I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely.
That's a nugget that every entrepreneur should leverage, is that using those other people's money to fund their business.
Even the already wealthy people do that. I tell them, and the people that's already millionaires, they still use other people's money.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
is there anything else that you want to share? Any additional value? Any tips for somebody that might want to, that's in the beauty space and just needs motivation or support?
Absolutely. To beauty professionals out there, again, hairstylists and makeup artists, barbers, lash techs, stay consistent. You know, that sounds so cliche. Everyone says it, but it's truly the key to being successful, right? Being professional, being on time. Make sure you're treating your business like a business. Again, I think that's just so important. And that's what a lot of people are missing. A lot of people are jumping into the salon suites too early, just to be honest with you. And they don't have that networking in those walk-ins. So just hang in there, stay consistent. In your slow season, that's when you focus on your back end. That's when you focus on your marketing. Take advantage of that slow season. So once you're busy again, you have some things in motion. But just continue to believe in yourself and invest in yourself. I have a Beauty Pro community that's only $45 a month, $1.50 a day. And we drop a lot of gems and share a lot of information and resources to help beauty professionals. So
that's game changer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Listen, you guys, you just got exclusive access to learn how to not only just start your salon suite, but how to just make sure you're making your beauty brand go. Sway, I thank you so much for taking time just to share value to my community. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Absolutely. On all social media platforms, Sway _SWAY_ the pro, THEPRO, beautyprocommunity.com for the community, and for the salon suite course, thesalonsuitemodel.com.
All right. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Touch Cat.
Your access has been granted.
Yes,
Thank you for joining Access Granted. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe below. I'll see you next time.